Hi, I'm Mark and I'd like to share my Transformers Masterpiece collection. I've been collecting Transformers Masterpiece scale figures quite gradually for a few years now. My first was Optimus Prime here, which I bought in 2013. I've seen more and more collectors share their own Transformers collections with the community, particularly here on YouTube, so I thought it would be fun to do the same. I certainly don't have the largest collection. I mean, it's very modest compared to some collections out there. But I always intended to stick to the characters I loved and just enjoy those without getting too carried away. I like to display the characters in dynamic and interesting poses. For me, that looks much more satisfying than seeing dozens and dozens of characters all facing front, arms down, looking a little soulless. I hope I can make this video useful for new Transformers collectors by explaining a little bit about where these figures come from. I realise I'm no expert, but I have learned quite a lot in recent years. Information I wish had been clearer to me when I started collecting myself. I won't go into great detail about each figure, like how to transform it or what accessories it comes with. There are already many great YouTubers doing a far better job of that than I ever could. YouTubers like Bobby Skullface, Ben's Collectibles, TM Reviews, Tidarium Hanger, Prime vs Prime, Emgo and Optimus Legends. All great YouTubers that I myself subscribe to and have learnt an awful lot from over the months and years. I'll see if I can include some links to their channels in the comments section. Before I get into it and go through my collection, I think it's important to talk about some of the companies that make these things. Trust me, it makes a huge difference, and it took me a while to get my head around all this. Most serious Transformers fans know that official Transformers toys are made by Japanese company Takara Tomy and American company Hasbro. The first official Masterpiece figure was released in 2003. It was Optimus Prime, MPO-1, or Cybertron Commander Convoy as they called him for some reason. However, around 2006, other Asian companies started making figures that bore a remarkable resemblance to known Transformers characters. Somehow they got away with it, don't ask me how. And the numbers of these third-party companies and the products they produce has grown steadily over the years. These days, companies like Mastermind Creations, X-Transbots and Fans Toys, to name but a few, are synonymous with collecting Masterpiece Transformers. In fact, it's no exaggeration to say that these companies often outdo Takara and Hasbro and make Transformers that put official ones to shame. Seriously. And just to confuse things further, there are also figures known as knockoffs or KOs, which are made and sold by different companies, sometimes deliberately to fool people and pass as official figures. The differences can be hard to spot. It can come down to joints on the figure that are maybe a little loose or a little tight, or a very small discrepancy on the packaging. The good news is, they usually cost a lot less. So if you're happy taking a small chance on quality, then this can be a great way to get your hands on a bargain. Most collectors these days seem to accept KOs as viable alternatives to expensive originals. To this day, I still don't know why Takara and Hasbro allow third-party companies to get away with making such obvious Transformers characters. Many people feel it would be impossible to take every other company down in court. Some say it's because they're happy because it keeps their brand thriving. Others even say it's because they secretly own these companies. Whatever the reason, it's great news for collectors because it means we have no end of choice in the items we can include in our collections. You'll see many third-party and KO figures here on my own shelves. Anyway, that's enough of an introduction. Getting started and moving from left to right, we begin with my Decepticons. First you'll see the three Seekers, Thundercracker, Starscream and Skywarp. These three are unofficial and were made by a company called Deformation Space in 2021. Down here beneath Skywarp you'll notice Ravage, but I'll come back to him in just a moment. Next is Megatron. I love this one so much. It's an obvious KO of Takara's official release MP36. This one is called Dynastron, Lord of Chaos, by Toy House Factory. To his right we have a Soundwave KO, aka Pony and his little partner. These KO names can be hilarious. It's by Robot Hero. You'll see he came with his cassettes, Laserbeak, Ravage, Frenzy and Rumble. And in case you're wondering, Buzzsaw is tucked away in his chest too. I'd possibly go as far as to say that this is my single favourite figure in my entire collection. I just adore this thing. And last for my Decepticons is Shockwave. This one is official from Takara, although they've called him Destron Laserwave for some reason. Moving on to my largest shelf here, we're in Autobot territory now. The first one here at the back is the official Takara Ultra Magnus, and in front of him here, another official bot, Sunstreaker. Next along is Grimlock, once again an official Takara release. As I mentioned earlier, at the back here is the first Masterpiece scale Transformer I ever bought. I picked this guy up from Toys R Us 10 years ago and never looked back. He's actually from Hasbro, and he's apparently a Toys R Us exclusive. His designation is MP10, and although many Optimus Primes have been made by Takara and other companies since he came out, this one still holds his own in my opinion. In front of Prime we have his two lieutenants, Jazz and Prowl. Jazz was always my favourite character growing up, so this one holds a special place in my heart. This is actually Downbeat from Make Toys. Prowl here is a straight up KO from an unknown company. I got him for next to nothing from eBay. To look at his packaging, you'd never even know he wasn't official. And this figure is a perfect copy, no defects at all as far as I can tell. At the back we have Springer, or in this case Saltus by Mastermind Creations from their Ocular Max subline. Next is the official Takara version of another favourite of mine, Sideswipe. Towering at the back here is Skyfire, or Phoenix from Fans Toys, a company that have really established a reputation as one of the absolute best third-party manufacturers over the years. And in front of him is Bumblebee. I picked this up from China from eBay. It was advertised as an official Takara figure, but honestly it could easily be a KO. This figure has caused a lot of controversy. I absolutely love the face on this, but the feet have been the source of much hatred from fans for just how rubbish they look. Those feet are flimsy too. Mine was sadly broken recently, so his right foot is actually held on with super glue. Now on to the third and final shelf. At the back we begin with Blue Streak. This is another Hasbro release. In front of him you'll see Cliffjumper, aka Hellion, another one from MMC Ocular Max. And at the back here there's Blaster, or Transistor from KFC. No, not the fast food joint, but Keith's Fantasy Club. And if we move over into the corner here, you'll see Blaster's mini cassette Rewind. Back over here and we have RC, or rather a KO called Robot Rose by Rose Toys. This was my most recent purchase and the last one I intend to buy for now, much to my other half's relief. At the back here we have a more recent character called Drift, who actually made his first appearance in the comics by IDW in 2008. This figure is known as Ronin and it's by Wonderful Trans. At the front here you'll see the official Takara release of Hot Rod, another of my favourite characters. Completing my collection up here is another favourite in our house, Windblade, who also comes from the comics and first appeared in 2014. This figure is called Wind Girl and she's from Bingo Toys. I have heard that the design for this figure was actually stolen by the manufacturer, but I have no idea whether or not that's actually true. We enjoy the presence of a strong modern female character and the paintwork on this figure really makes her pop. And that brings me to the end of my humble collection. Like I said at the beginning, it's not the largest collection, not by a long shot, but it brings me tremendous joy every day. There are a few more I'd like to get eventually, such as the Dinobots by Fans Toys or Devastator by Toy World, but for now I'm out of space, plus these things cost an awful lot of money. One final note about buying Masterpiece Transformers: there are so many options for where to purchase them. Every collector has their own trusted source. eBay can be good for getting hold of second-hand items and KOs. I've used a few different online sources over the years, but two companies in China I've come to trust are Shouzi and TF Safari. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you're new to the world of collecting Transformers Masterpiece figures, then I really hope it's given you some useful information and allowed you to get started with a clearer understanding than I had on that fateful day a decade ago when I walked out of Toys R Us with a big smile on my face. Happy collecting!